I came here several times with my father when I was little, but stopped eating here as often after growing up. I hope.
Oh, don't worry. We haven't eaten at a hotel like this in a while.
In that case, I'll go order for us first.
Ooh, everything looks so good. People in Fontaine.
Why, of course. Go ahead, try whatever you like. If the food's good, I'll make a group reservation for the rest of
And if it's not.
Well,
Yeah. Oh, we called this a farewell meal, but we could also treat it like a victory feast, right? We did just win that cake.
Oh, true. Very true.
Huh? Paimon. Speaking of cases, do you think that the mastermind behind the serial disappearances will get caught soon now that this is...
Well, we've certainly taken a big step forward, but I feel that's about it. We know that there's an organization that means to dissolve these young women, but we still don't know what they are really...
If it hadn't happened right in front of us, Paimon wouldn't have...
Right? Yet it was because this was such a preposterous notion that the investigation could...
Ugh. If only that guy could have finished speaking!
In such investigations, even the smallest step can seem like a yawning chasm if the trail of clues. To be honest, I don't have high hopes for any follow-up that the authorities might conduct. It's not that I don't have faith in their ability. It's just that it's easy to guard against and deceive a single narrow perspective. A shift in thinking is required at such times, which is exactly why the Spina di Rosula exists. Those highfalutin folk are not all-knowing. That's why we exist. To seep into the cracks where filth falls through, where their watch fails them. That's the
Seems Paimon thought things were simpler than they actually are.
It's all right. Well, this was supposed to be a farewell meal. Let's talk about something else. Like, what are your future plans?
That's true. We didn't have a chance to speak to her after the trial ended. It didn't...
I see. So, your primary objective... I've heard that there's a long line of people waiting to meet Lady Farina. I suspect you'll...
Yeah, we've heard that she's super popular here.
Well, would you consider some more...
Guess that's Spina di Rosula's boss for you.
Well, one way would be to infiltrate a performance troupe at the Opera House, only to abandon your act at the play's climax and ask to speak to her. I'm sure Lady Farina would be eager to see the ending, and would agree in order to finish...
Could you suggest something a little more practical? This plan seems pretty hard to pull off.
All right, here's another. Find a way to conceal yourselves under her bed, then wake her up in the dead of night and demand answers. Don't let her go back to sleep until she answers all your questions. I can personally testify that this one works. When I'm sleepy...
That might work, but that's not really the problem. The problem is we...
Valid point. I overlooked that part. I was just thinking about leveraging a person's desire for sleep. All right, no more joke. You did defeat her in court, clearing citizens of hers from false accusations. False accusations she had nearly upheld personally. I imagine that she feels quite ashamed about the whole...
You mean that if we catch her while she's on a break, she might be too embarrassed to refuse? Oh, that does... Why don't we give it a try after this meal?
Huh?
Was this your drink? Sorry about that. Paimon wasn't really paying attention in the cup...
No, it's fine.
Alright. Honestly, Paimon wouldn't recommend Fontaine.
Is that so? If we're all finished eating, then I'll...
Yeah, we... Oh, so full. Paimon can barely float anymore. Nah, that would be so... Hey, Navia, what are you...
Oh, nothing. It was just a meal, you know? Nothing the Spina di Ros...
Let's get...
So this is goodbye, huh? Well, if you do encounter any other trouble in Fontaine, in any case, I would...
See ya! people around anymore. Looks like that boat we took to Aaron...
Vache.
Looks like we're back here. Huh? Traveler? Are you hearing voices again? Ugh.
Vache?
Hey, why are you still walking towards it? Huh? Hang on. Hey, Traveler? Stop walking! Come on, wake up!
Vache, are you... my dear... No, wait. You seem to be someone else. Do you... Wait. Who am... My memories feel like they have been washed away like a flood. So many fragments dissolved amidst the tide. Never... How much have I lost? How many things that I once held dear while on land have I since forgotten? Yes, that is what I was once. But now, I do not know how I came to be like this either. I only vaguely remember being covered in light blue water, and then all grew dim. I also remember, no matter where I went, Vache would go with me. I knew how dearly he loved me. But now, we can no longer... No! Our reunion no longer has any meaning. There is no way for us to create. The thought of me gives him no succor. So let it lie. If you meet Vache, tell him not to look for me. Tell him to move on. Perhaps that is so, as I was submerged in the waters, losing consciousness. If only I could have comforted him, told him that I did not suffer. Is that what you call it? It was a state of me. I could also liken it to being a thirsty person who drinks water for the first time, and only then sees how they have lived for... I think I hear your companion. Farewell, then.
Wake up! Come on, hurry! Navia's outnumbered!
Demoiselle, look out!
Dear God, it's a whole army of Gardamex. Chlorand? Quick, now's our chance! I should thank you for lending us your sword there, Chlorand. But before I do so...
I followed you. It seemed to me that danger has followed you more closely as of late.
I believe that following someone without their knowledge is actually...
Mr. Callus's last wish was for me to ensure your safety, and I will not betray his trust.
Do not!
Sorry, Demoiselle.
Thank you for your aid, Miss Clorand, but do keep an eye out for your manner of speech. I believe we all...
Sorry,
Whatever. What else do you know? How did you come to the conclusion that I'd be engraved?
I doubt I know much more than you. But I believe that the mastermind behind the serial disappearances, your performance tonight will almost certainly attract their attention.
I I'm sure they've known about me. To be honest, and what?
None of these mecha have serial numbers. I was sure to check a moment ago. They are not the ones used by the authorities to enforce. I can only conclude that some powerful or wealthy party must have obtained them via illegal means.
What? Your point being that they're out of Spina di Rosula's league?
Yes.
I will continue investigating, no matter what. Regardless.
I do not think that they'll strike again anytime soon.
Right. I suppose that's the best news.
Demoiselle, I believe that Miss Clorand was being sincere with you.
I know, she's...
Oh, thank goodness! Paimon thought we were done. Those Gardamex came out of nowhere while you were unconscious, and Nadia and her gang saved us! Oh, and there was that champion duelist named Clorand who came out to save us too! We got lucky there.
Oh, come now. Forget all that polite talk. That wasn't really a farewell meal we had back there. Not for me, anyway. In truth, as such, we're still partners.
It will take 50 years for me to match Demoiselle's
If it were me, I would have joined these.
All right, you...
Actually, Navia, how did you know that we were in danger?
Well, to be honest, you're the one who tipped us off, Paimon.
Huh? Really? Paimon
Yes. All thanks to you grabbing my
how did...
After we parted ways, I was on the way back to one of our bases when I suddenly thought of what you said. That the Fanta tasted kind of salty and icky? Fanta only comes in sweet flavors. So how could it have tasted salty? The color of the drink, if I recall...
So the Fanta had been spiked with water from the primordial sea?
Yes. So if you hadn't drunk that...
Spina di Rosula is preparing the grandest of awards for you as we speak for safe.
Huh. Really?
I sent people to Hotel de Boer to investigate. But whoever did this left no trace at all. That's when I figured out that you might be in danger.
But why would they go after us too? All we did was defend Linny in court and help clear his name. Ugh.
Well, you did foil a plan that they were probably pretty proud of, and almost got their name in the process. Speaking of which, did anything strange happen when you drank the
Well, it can't be coincidence that the traveler fainted just now. Oh, and this time Paimon heard it too. But it was real faint. Does this situation have to do with the Does that mean the primordial seawater raises someone's sensitivity to hydro when it's used on people who are not from Fontaine?
That doesn't sound like too much of a bad thing, to be honest.
New intel? Wild...
Well, let's hear it, shall we? Oh. Vache. That name doesn't ring a bell. I suppose he hasn't stepped forward as a witness in... Since he saw that young woman dissolve, he was at least at the crime scene. But he never gave testimony or any information regarding people dissolving in the primordial seawater. Yes, thank you. This is very important information. Oh, you mean...
Well, you did say that our farewell meal didn't really count. And besides, we're in this now whether we like it or not. You're not gonna let those people who targeted us get off the hook so easily, are you, Traveler?
Demoiselle, do try not to look quite so pleased.
You talk too much. Well, in that case, let's head back to one of our... We also have some plans to go over, and hopefully we can deepen our bonds as partners.
Don't worry, you two. With us around, our base is definitely secure.
It's right up ahead, but let's make sure we weren't...
I've been keeping watch, Demoiselle. I haven't spotted any...
Very good.
I shall find rooms for...
Thank you, Malus. Now, let's
Take it easy. Take it easy. Take it easy.
So, this is your base?
Your accommodations have been arranged. Under the present circumstances, I can confidently say it's the best we have.
Well, our fun, after all, we don't allow illegal or unethical profiteering. In fact, our funds are...
Seems like it's tough times for everyone. But if you have the support of the people...
To be honest, our financial situation was a lot better back when my father was in charge a few years ago.
Your father... he would...
Demoiselle, if you'll allow me...
No. I'll explain it myself. I suppose I couldn't run from this topic forever. And my father's name is Callus. Yes, the same one they call Callus the Unfaithful in the street. 3 years ago, he was accused of murdering his own friend. But he chose a duel to defend his honor instead of standing trial.
Oh no?
But I do not believe my father was a murderer. At the time, I believed that if he only stood trial and was duly investigated, something amiss would crop up and prove it. But strangely, he not only requested the duel himself, that even after being seriously injured, to the point where he could be deemed as having lost the duel, he refused. 3 years. How could he protect his honor if he's dead? If anything, he gave up. The closest piece of info I have is that my father had been investigating the serial disappearance.
Ah, so that's why you're so
That's right. I've also tried to investigate the murder my father was implicated in, but I haven't found a single new... However, I believe that if the murder case is related to those behind the disappearances, I must know what really happened. Was my father coerced? If only he'd been more open with me when he was still alive. He even hid the fact that my mother died due to complications when given... And now, here I am investigating his death. You really...
Demoiselle, please.
I also will never believe that Master Callus murdered anyone. There are none whom I respect more than the Master Callus did so much good in life, yet even our supporters decreased greatly due to that incident, hence our strain...
Wait! If Callus was such a good man, wouldn't people at least be a little
No. Perhaps people just revel in that kind of drama. It's not something exclusive to people from Fontaine, really. People love watching the evil turn over a new leaf, but they also enjoy watching good people fall into an abyss from one slip-up just as...
But how could... never mind. If Callus was really falsely accused, we have to find the truth.
There is one other thing. Master Callus's opponent in the duel was Ms. Cloran.
Oh, her? Well, then, isn't that as good as saying that she was the one who killed him? Yeah, that's not the sort of thing that you can just let go and move on from.
Ms. Cloran has always placed great emphasis on the honorable nature of the duel. If her opponent doesn't... She knew Master Callus beforehand and greatly respected him, but seeing there was only ever one choice...
It's not that I don't understand her at all, but I...
Don't worry, Navia. Paimon knows how you feel.
Afterward, Ms. Coran told us that at the start of the duel, Master Callus requested that she ensure Demoiselle Navia's safety. Yes, that is our understanding.
Oh, Papa. What madness drove you to ask the person who killed you to take care of me? All right, anyway, that's the information I wanted to share with you. Even if it did sound like I was just complaining. Thanks.
Yeah.
Please, relax and get some sleep. We will ensure...
Paimon slept, huh? Navia?
I sent them back to Poisson. It's Spina de Rosula's place of origin, and where we have our headquarters. There's not much for them to do here at the...
Paimon gets the feeling that you're just trying to get them off your back. But never mind that. When did you get back?
No, I just returned after going out for a while. I did some investigating yesterday.
Wait.
How could I after having such critical new evidence?
Guess Paimon wasn't...
Unfortunately, this name seems to have been wiped from existence. It doesn't seem to have. I suspect that those behind this have already taken steps to hinder an investigation from this angle. But...
Does that...
No. There is one ray of hope. One place in Fontaine that they would... And that is the archives kept by Chief Justice Neuvillette. A place where if the Oceanette you met is one of the young women who went missing recently, we should be able to find some
So Neuvillette, in that case, let's go...
No, it's nothing. The palais is right up ahead. Come on.
Halt! Please state your business here. The Chief Justice is presently occupied. This place does look pretty heavily guarded.
Hey, don't you recognize us?
Huh? Who are you? Just to be clear, I don't care who you are or who you might be related to. Our rules make...
See? They've got great discipline, too.
Yep. If you're here just to crack jokes, I can point you towards the exit. Unlike some, we...
No. What I meant to say is, shouldn't you remember us from a few days ago? We were at the trial of the great...
Oh, yes, I remember. I read about it in the Steambird. You must be Linny's attorneys.
We're here today to report and archive some information on a follow-up case.
Is that even a thing?
Of course. Don't worry. We're here on official business.
All right, then, I'll let you through. The Chief...
Thanks so...
Please, come in.
Sorry to barge in, Monsieur Neuvillette. We only like to get in...
It's all right. Please let me know how I may be of assistance to you.
So you're not...
We're looking for a man called Vacher. He may have been an eyewitness in the serial disappearances case. If we can find him, we may be able to
Ah, I see. In that case, please wait here a moment while I browse through the file.
knew that Neuvillette would be so easy to talk.
Unfortunately, I'm quite certain that no one by the name of Vacher has been involved in any case, criminal or civil. There are no records of him either in the files or in my memory.
Traveler, what if it was...
Is that so? All right then.
Ahem. Miss Navia, I can understand how you feel. Your father, Callus, was a truly exceptional man.
And what are you trying to say, Monsieur Neuvillette? Are you trying to console me? No. You are not trying to do any of that. I can hear it in your voice. There's no emotion behind your words. You only said those things because it's just like last time. After my father took his place in the duelist ring, I pushed through the guards to talk to you as a last resort. You even told me then that you thought there was something fishy with the case, yet you still allowed the duel to go ahead. In your eyes, the value of a human life is nothing. If you truly regret my father's death, why didn't you give me the power to stop him from throwing his life? Everything was hanging on a thread at that moment. There are still so many things I never got. If you really have no heart, then just look me in the eyes.
I'm sorry, Miss.
You and my father are truly alike. You keep all kinds of things in your heart and never say a word to... It's not so much that you can't feel, but that you would never... Oh well. In any case, everyone already knows full well the apathy of the Chief Justice. My apologies for taking my emotions out on you, Monsieur Chief Justice. Let's go, Traveler and Paimon.
Navia,
I'm fine. Rain.
you're right. Wasn't it still sunny when we went into the building?
And now that I think of it, on the day my father was convicted of murder...
What is it? Did you think of something?
Yeah, he was outside. It was uncovered and the rain could fall there. Why? Do you think the rain could have affected... That thought has occurred to us before. We've even expanded the search area to try to account for that, but didn't find anything of value. Oh? Wait. You don't...
So you're saying that the true murderer could have been turned into water? And then go... Yeah! And if that's what had happened, then no one would have believed your dad, even if he explained what he saw to the authorities!
I really think I found a true genius for a partner. You're completely right. How did I not connect the dots early? All right, let's go to Poisson. With this new lead in mind...
Yeah, we're gonna make...
Do you want to go with me now? Great, let's go.
Whoa! What a huge ship! Why would a ship...
There's no need to be so surprised. While it may look like a ship, it's actually Spina di Rosula's headquarters. My father was the one who asked for it to be built like this. Perhaps our tastes in a gigantic and glamorous ship embodies discovery, opportunity, ambition, and conquest. It symbolizes Spina di Rosula's bright and limitless future.
And Paimon thought you were bluffing when you said Spina di... Paimon was confused why a group with such a history would live in the sewer. But now that Paimon has seen this ship for herself...
Well, Poisson is where Spina di Rosula began, after all. It's our...
Time to go.
Melus, we're back!
Apologies for the wait, demoiselle. And you said before that you still had some business at...
About that. It's because my partner here reminded me of something really important. You see, what if my father's case had something to do with water from the primordials? You still remember, right, Melus? On that night, it was raining?
Yes, the case was quite similar to that of Mr. Linney's. Both were what you'd call impossible murders.
Could you tell us a bit more about what...
Yeah, of course. Many years ago, something called synth began to gain popularity in Poisson. At a glance, it was a kind of drink that could excite your mood.
Wait! Didn't that guard guy who turned into water also mention that the primordial water could be used to produce some kind of...
Yes, he did. Considering what we know now, it's almost certain that synth is created using water from the primordials. If you drink synth for an extended amount of time, you'll suffer many side effects. And if you were to stop drinking it completely, you'll experience flashes of paranoia. And as he oversaw Poisson, my father was compelled to put a stop to synth abuse, and called for a...
Boss's uncompromising attitude incurred the synth vendor's wrath, but no matter how much they threatened or bribed him, he refused to yield. Not only that, Boss became determined to find the mastermind behind the synth operation and put an end to the problem.
Yes, but the enemy was very cunning. So he could never get anything out of the dealers, all of whom only sold the stuff and weren't privy to the rest of the operation. Recognizing that, my father decided to contact the dealers in secret and cultivate personal relationships with them. Finally, the man's name was Jacques. He felt greatly ashamed about his work after seeing many families destroyed by synth abuse. That night, my father hosted a banquet at his countryside estate. He planned to meet up and exchange information with Jacques over some food. But then, we heard 2 gunshots from the courtyard. We raced to the scene and found my father, still holding a gun, and Jacques, who...
Huh? How did that happen? Aren't they on...
Sounds just like Lenny's case, doesn't it? In both cases, the culprit seemed obvious, but neither... Looking back on it, though, I now believe the most important clue was something we all overlooked at the time. There were pieces of clothing left at the scene. Precisely. It's all thanks to you that I made the connection now. Back then, we all just thought they were some costumes, but, considering it now, it's almost certain that they belong to a third person at the scene. With one extra person, we'll also need to reconsider why the 2 shots were fired. You're right. We still don't know what happened. But my intuition...
Jacques was an empathetic man who was infinitely remorseful for his past actions. It's unlikely that I think this third person... On that note, however, even though this will not please you, demoiselle, as your and your father's butler, I must still offer our opponent is insidious and cruel. They are extremely difficult to deal with, and Boss has already... Even though Spina de Rosula has lost most of its former glory, Poisson has welcomed a new time of peace, and we have been allowed to live out our lives. There is no need to follow your father's path. It would be both wise and in line with Boss's wishes to step...
If that's indeed what he wished for, was I not the closest person to him? And yet, what was the point of him dying without sharing any of the secrets he knew? Synth is still here. Callus the Unfaithful is still his Did he think I'd just accept his... I've never accepted that. Ever. I want to find out the real answer for
Navia.
This is indeed the best moment to act. Your partner appears to be quite reliable, and more importantly, demoiselle...
So you do know something else, Melus?
Yes, I do. In fact, even before that banquet, Boss already knew of the connection between Synth and the... But what drove all the tensions to the boiling point was the revelation that you, demoiselle, had been selected as the next target to disappear.
What?
Boss also didn't tell you that he had been diagnosed with a rare illness. The doctors told him that he had, and the serial disappearances case caused him great anxiety. 5 years was nowhere near enough time to resolve this long-standing conflict. But once he passed away, all the danger would pass. Knowing all of this, he decided to use one final intimidation tactic before his death. He claimed to have already gotten his hands on some key incriminating evidence for the other side, and even told some members of Spina di Rosula, but as long as you remained safe, he would not share the evidence with the public. If something were to happen to you, then he and all those he told would immediately expose all they knew about Synth and the disappeared victims.
Right, so nobody would be able to get off scot-free.
As we've seen, Boss's tactic has worked. Even though Boss has been gone for a long time, the other side has not tried to take Demoiselle's life.
No, I don't believe it. He never appeared to look sick to me.
No father wants their daughter to see them weak and haggard, especially someone as proud as Boss. To him, dying in a duel and suffering lasting dishonor as the unfaithful were still far.
So he chose to die in silence, so that he could...
I'm afraid you're not understanding this correctly, Demoiselle. What Boss wanted to hand to you was not a parasol. If Boss's spirit could hear you telling me that you want to find the... I'm sure he'd be a...
That fool. No. He might have set up everything precisely because he never... Is that the amount of confidence he had in me? And what if I was never able to make it to where I am now? Yeah. I suppose that's true. With the way he'd set things up, if I had wanted, I could have just lived out my life without a care in the world. But thankfully, he rarely talked to me about complex matters, and thus understood little of me as a person. In this case, he really didn't need to give me an easy... Malus, what was the key evidence that he
It's the location where Synth is produced. When he was threatening the enemy, Boss didn't share the specifics of the incriminate. But if you want to use it against the enemy...
Why? If we know where the place is, can't we?
You mustn't forget that we're fighting against a mysterious... There's no telling what might be lying in wait at their headquarters. We also have no... But a single visit to their headquarters would be tantamount to... The worst case would be that we leave empty-handed.
Then, in that case...
Well, you saw one of them dissolve during Mr. Linney's case. We have...
That's true. But things are different now. It should be...
You sound like you've put a lot of thought...
I am the butler. I've always been willing to take on any kind of risk for your sake. But considering my relative lack of ability, I've spent my time keeping secrets, performing basic investigations, and...
Thank you for all of that, Malus.
Let me think. One conclusion I came to was that the enemy must be quite familiar with Spina di Rosula. When I announced orders to the organization's members on Demoiselle's behalf, I used to deliberately keep a few people in the dark and observe the reactions of the Synth. If the vendors didn't change their plans, then the individuals informed of our orders must be innocent. After several rounds of testing and investigative tracing, the first is Florent, Spina di Rosula's senior advisor.
Huh?
Yes, surprising, isn't it? He was one of the people Boss trusted the most, which also means that thanks to his position within Boss's innermost circle, he always knew our up... There's someone else like him, too. Marcel, the head of Confrérie.
Uncle Marcel.
It's a guild in Poisson. But in the beginning, they were only reselling some daily goods, but now they're one of the richest guilds around, with a lot of business connections in the city.
So, they're like a sister organization?
Yes, you can say that. When we were fighting against the Synth, it's a bit difficult to imagine someone using their own money to hunt down them.
The final suspect is Thierry, the man responsible for coordinating information between Spina di Rosula. Although the guards mostly leave us to our own devices, there are still many activities we have to report to the local authorities. Since Thierry is always in the know about our current activities, he could theoretically always plan one step ahead.
I see. To think that the enemy we've been fighting against has been right next to me all along, among the—
If you want to investigate them, please take every precaution to not alert the
Of course. And
You're too kind. And before I forget, proving boss... After that incident, Jacques' wife and daughter were taken into the Spina's care. If it might help, you could also pay them a...
Aw, thank you so much.
a new case awaits, my dear partner. I hope we can work together to...
Take it easy.
It is settled, then. Please excuse me, and enjoy your conversation at your leisure.
Thank you for arranging everything for...
Excuse me, miss.
Hey, Navia's all quiet. This isn't like her at all.
I'm sorry that I only came to visit after all this time. After what...
Ah, if it's about that, there's no need to apologize. After my husband died, Spina di Rosula sent us a lot of mura and support. I understood your guilt, but
Aren't all of those things nothing compared to the loss of Jacques? I can understand the kind of pain that comes with losing...
You don't understand.
I didn't know how to face you. Because I didn't know what I could possibly bring as a consolation. I know only the full truth could bring closure to you.
I'm sorry. I appreciate. On the matter regarding my husband, my daughter and I have more or less found out.
Would you mind sharing it with me?
I always knew that my husband's money was earned through others' suffering. He told me countless times that if he could turn back the clock, he would never go into the synth business. He had many regrets, and felt that he took the idea of providing for his family too literally. So when Mr. Callis came to him with a proposal, he accepted. He tried to be as careful as he could, but even so...
They found out...
Papa didn't say that exactly, but Papa did tell me that I should never...
Before he left that day, he told me that he had no choice. It was only later. I don't know that for sure. But... Which is why I'm the one who should feel guilty. Callis had always taken great care of us, both when he was still alive and after he passed away. Even if he fired the shot that killed my husband, it was likely in self-defense.
But Mama, why is Papa still the bad guy if he did the right thing? Papa always wanted to be a good man.
Well, things aren't always as they seem. You still feel like your papa was a good...
Yeah, Papa was a...
Then you should hold on to that. If a good man had to do a bad thing, regardless of whether he left you a parasol or a sword...
Oh.
Thank you for everything you've told me. I will definitely...
Thank you. I'm very grateful to hear this from you. Even though your personality is quite different from your father's, your determination when you speak is really similar.
You really think that's the first time anyone said...
Are you okay, Navia?
I'm fine. Don't worry. Let's investigate the 3 suspects next. Florent should be nearby, and...
Greetings, boss. How may I be of assistance today?
I'm sure you've heard about what happened at the Opera House? Someone got turned...
Yeah, I've heard. With something that dramatic, I'm sure journalists will milk it for all it's worth.
It also reminded me On the day that the incident happened with my father, it was raining out after my partner here put the dots together for me. I feel like we should try to... Can you do me a favor and try to recall what...
Let me think. Mr. Callus was feeling pretty upbeat that day. So he was... After that, he told us that he wanted to go get some fresh air. So we let him go without thinking much of it. Who knew that we would hear 2 gunshots ring? My first reaction was that Mr. Callus's life was in danger. So I grabbed my Holt, but when I got there, it was all...
So you also remember 2 gunshots?
Indeed. The guards said that the first shot didn't hit anyone, while the second killed Jacques. But reason being, Mr. Callus had left his gun on the table. I even made sure to confirm that before running to... But according to the guards, that doesn't mean he couldn't have had other guns on his About the clothes left at the scene that you mentioned. Do you think there was a third person?
At least from our perspective, my father had no reason to kill. So he would also have no reason to bring an The gun he was holding probably belonged to Jacques. Or a third person.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So you're saying... But hold on. If that's what had happened, then why didn't he share the truth with any of... He didn't even want to face the Oratrice machine. And did he lose all faith in the courts after seeing someone dissolve...
About that, Malus told me a thing or two. So, I'll tell you everything, once the whole truth...
I understand. And if I may just say one more thing. The whole Callus the Unfaithful... Many people have laughed at me for still calling him Mr. Callus. Even after so many... But it was Mr. Callus's trust that allowed me to rise through the ranks of Spina di... No matter what others might say.
Don't worry. You and all... Hey, Thierry, it's me.
Oh, now, what brings you here, Miss Navia?
Oh, so...
Oh, okay. Hey, I'm also a member of the guards, you know. The way you make it sound, people would think I was sent off to Poisson because I...
Are you sure there isn't a little bit of truth in that? Under normal circumstances, shouldn't you have been called back to the city already?
I mean, where I work is really up to me. Let's just say I enjoy the ambiance of Poisson. Callus did a fantastic job running the town. Building Spina di Rosula from the ground up and clearing... It would be next to impossible for me to find a similarly easy but high-paying job in the city. Anyway, enough chit-chat.
Ah, yes. These two, what happened at the Opera House, made us realize that Linny's case, and my father's, may be related. We're trying to reinvestigate the details of my father's old case.
Ah, I get it. You think there might be more to the case now that we know people can be dissolved into water, right? I was also flabbergasted when I first heard of it. If you want to go through the original files from your father's case...
That'd be much appreciated. Thank you.
Of course. Without them, I couldn't possibly... Why do you ask? We definitely can't use them to
Well, you see, just recently, we were attacked by a horde of unnumbered Gardamex in the city. So, if you hypothetically wanted to do something against me, all you would need to do is get rid of the mecha serial numbers and...
Then you think too highly of my abilities. Dispatching mecha is very different from... If I had to make an analogy, when you order a dish, the chef will make it for you. You can ask the chef to cook, but not to massage your shoulders or carry... If you try to make unreasonable demands, the chef would just think you're out of your mind and ignore you completely. Removing a serial number is also not as easy as you might think. There are a lot of complex steps, so I can promise you, those mecha were definitely private unit. They're certainly not cheap. So, whoever their owner is must be super rich, powerful, or both. Now that you mention it, though...
Oh, then you're officially in the clear, Thierry.
Oh, jokes aside, I'd like to wish you all the best with your investigation. I'll be staying in the city for a little while, so just... I'll see what I can do for you in Spina Deep.
Hello, how may I help you? I'm here to see Marcel. Could you please let him know? You can just say Navia's looking for him. Sure, I will let...
Navia, hello. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm not as...
Oh, it's all right, Uncle Mark. I just wanted to talk to you briefly about what happened in the Opera House.
Yes,
Oh, you were at the...
That's right. I went there with Navia to see the magic show. Who knew it would turn... I also witnessed your marvelous sleuthing work. To beat the Hydro Archon at her own game on her own turf. I can already imagine everyone in Fontaine discussing your exploits over a few glasses of wine.
Oh, Paimon doesn't want to become the talk of...
Apologies. It's just how Fontaine is as a nation. Everyone...
Uncle Marcel, you've also noticed that other thing, right? The fact...
Yes. I was reminded of your father's case right away. Is that what you're
Exactly. I still don't have much solid proof, but I can...
Oh, and...
We were attacked on Araneus by some unnumbered Gardamex. And there was also an attempt to get me to drink water from the primordial sea. If not for the vigilance of my partner, I probably wouldn't even be here talking to you right now.
Oh, you're giving us too much...
Alas, it seems things are heating up again. The peace that Callus sought so dearly will soon become a thing of the past. But rest assured, Navia, Poisson will always remain a safe haven for you. If you're scared, you can always return there. If anyone dares to lay their hands on you there, the Confrérie of Cabrières will use its funds to the last Mora to bring...
Thank you, Uncle Marcel. But do you have any new thoughts?
About that. The Confrérie was responsible for that banquet, so I was out and about the whole time making sure things were running smoothly. I didn't even have the time. Then I heard the sound of a gunshot.
Oh, it's okay. No need to push yourself. We'll ask around some more.
Sounds good. Just let me... All my wealth comes from Callus's patronage and support. I'll spend however much it takes to...
We've talked to all three suspects.
None of them sounded particularly suspicious.
I suppose that's to be expected, though. If a single conversation's all that's needed to find them out, then my father wouldn't have needed to. Anyway, even though we didn't make a breakthrough, let's still compile what we.
But where should we start? Ah, you're right! Flora mentioned that Callus probably only ended up with the gun because of circumstances.
According to Jacques' family members, he already told them that he had been discovered, and that he had no choice before he left home that. If I had to guess, he probably received an order from the synth boss to kill my father. Had he refused, he and his family's lives would have been forfeit.
So, Jacques fired the first shot?
Oh? And why is that?
Ooh, that's a good point. Jacques probably already knew that he was just being used as a tool for murder. And once he had completed his...
So, what would make more sense from his perspective would be to turn his back on the Order and seek protection from my father. Makes sense. But without evidence, besides Jacques, the attack from the Gardamex has been bothering me. It's obvious that our enemy has become more antsy after the secret of the primordial seawater was revealed.
Do you think he knew, even then, that we'd followed?
Given everything that's happened since, but who among the 3 suspects would have the ability to control privately owned Gardamex? Uncle Marcel? And with funds from the still real. Also, wouldn't this mean he has been spending a. Thierry, you say? It is but I didn't feel like he was lying when he was talking to us about the mecha.
Yeah. Had he actually tampered with the mecha, we'd be able to prove it with a simple check of the guard's inventory. If the mecha were taken from the guards, it should be pretty easy to find out when and how that happened.
Florent? It is true that he was closest to my father, but as Spina di Rosula's advisor, his work mostly deals with personnel and security.
So you're saying he's too broke to afford a mecha army?
Exactly. He can't. And even if he could, I don't think he would be able to dispatch a whole group. Who could it be? You know, if you think everything through, Uncle Marcel is indeed the most suspicious of them all.
Could we be missing other suspects? Malus didn't know about the people turning into water thing when he narrowed it down to these 3, did he?
Malus has always been very reliable, and his judgment of others' trustworthiness has been fair and well considered. When he laid out his case for the 3, the rationale he gave me made a lot of sense as well. The suspect is knowledgeable about the Spina's internal affairs, has the means to dispatch Mecha to assassinate us, and possesses Even if I don't want to believe it, I'm starting to see how things could all tie back to Uncle Marcel.
Well, we still have another trump card on top of all the theorizing and speculating.
Yes, Malus did say that charging straight in there would be extremely risky. But we don't have any other option. We need far more solid proof before we can hope to go charging in on our—
Navia, here you are. Oh,
Huh? Aren't you the guy from the—
Yeah. News came from Irenaeus just after you left. We've got another trial on our—
Wasn't that place built specifically for holding trials?
I know. But they said the person they're putting on trial is a Fatui harbinger called Tartaglia.
What?
Yeah, we know him. Maybe.
Well, he's been accused of being the true culprit behind the serial disappearances case. It's absurd, don't you think?
Wait, how? None of our
That's what I thought was strange about it, so I came to tell you the news right away. If the charge against him stands, then it'll be next to impossible to get the guards to support any—
Right. Because they'll think they've already found the culprit.
Yeah. And it'll be a lot—
I understand. Huh? Split up? What do you mean? Since this is a trial about the serial disappearances case, the culprit's— You're right. This is— I won't have any chance of making that charge stick, though, unless we find more evidence. It'll be up—
We'll help you.
Demoiselle, please allow us to accompany you.
I'm ready.
Ah, Malus, Silver. When did you—
We heard that you'll be leaving Poisson, and it's our hope that your confidence will be bolstered with the—
Thank you so—
See you then! Now that Navia has set out for Irenaeus, we should also get going. The location has already been marked on the map, so let's head over. According to Malus's info, the synth production base is underwater. Let's go and try to find the entrance. Finally found it! Huh. So this is the entrance that leads to the synth production base. It sure doesn't seem out of the ordinary at all. Navia's probably...
It would appear that I must repeat my questioning. Do you accept the charge that you are the true culprit behind the serial disappearance?
To be perfectly honest, I don't understand your country's complicated court system, or the reason why I'm being charged. However, I did hear that people who have been charged can choose to participate in a duel, in which case, as long as I accept the charge, I can have an all— I've got to admit, that's one of the most enticing offers I've— When I privately sparred with her last time, she was obviously holding back.
Hey!
Don't you understand? You're currently the prime suspect for a major case. This isn't the place for you to be looking for fights.
Oh? Sounds like the Hydro Archon wants to lecture me on the ways of the Opera House. Then why don't you duel me too? I'm the kind of student that learns—
Alas, it would appear that communication with the defendant is going poorly, and we have made very little progress. In that case, let me explain everything from the very beginning again. The goal of this trial—
That case had nothing to do with him. You've got—
Huh? What's going on? Why is she interjecting again?
I told you it couldn't be one of the Fatui Heart.
Miss Navia, this is the second time you've interrupted the court proceedings. I only tolerated your behavior last time because you were able to provide the court with a key, but that was an exception rather than standard court protocol. I can very well charge you with contempt.
Oh, please. Did you ever think I had any respect for this place's pointless We can put that discussion aside for now. I'm not here to argue with you. I'm here to charge the true culprit behind the series, and if my charges prove true, then Tartaglia here will be proven innocent.
Oh, a young lady has charged in and offered to clear my name. How fascinating. Well, I'd gotten half bored to death by all these rules and procedures anyway. So, Your Honor, is there nothing else?
You may take a seat for now in the audience, but that doesn't mean the suspicions against you have been lifted. Now then, Miss Navia.
That person is... Something's not... Marcel, the head of Confrérie of Cabrières!
Huh? What confrérie? Never heard of them in my life.
I've heard of them, but weren't they Spina di Rosula's sister organization?
Oh, is this going to be a friends to enemies type situation?
Please let me remind you, Miss Navia, that charging someone is an incredibly serious matter. Committing to the charge also means taking on the legal responsibility, and if the charge fails, depending on the circumstances, you may also be charged.
Yes.
In that case, I declare the charge to be valid. Miss Navia and attorneys, please take your places on the court. Members of the guards, please contact... Mr. Marcel, you will not require an attorney. Is that correct?
Apologies. It all just happened so quickly. I think an attorney won't be necessary. This is probably just a
Very well. In that case, since both sides have now arrived, Miss Navia...
I would like to take everyone back to 3 years ago. To the case of only through elucidating what really happened in that case can we connect all the dots for the serial disappearances case.
Navia, do you really think that I was the one who killed your... Come on, why would I do that? Callus was my benefactor, and remember both you and I only ran to the scene when we heard the sound of a gun. If that's enough to make me a suspect, wouldn't that make everyone at that banquet a suspect as well?
I think there's no point in getting into the specifics right now. The audience doesn't even have the big picture yet. Even I'm struggling.
Exactly correct, Your Honor. I must refresh everyone's memory about that case before I can explain...
I see. In which case, I will recount the findings about that case as originally recorded by Maison Gardiennage. On the day of the murder, Spina di Rosula hosted a large banquet in a countryside estate owned. During the banquet, all attending guests heard 2 gunshots from the courtyard. When the guests arrived at the scene, they found the primary suspect, Callus, holding a gun. The guards' investigation did not recover any other firearms from the scene. As a result, they concluded that the suspect's first shot must have missed. The suspect did not dispute this conclusion, and also declined to defend himself in court. Callus was defeated by champion duelist Clarand in the ensuing duel. These are the known...
The one with the motive to kill was Jacques, not my father. And even so, Jacques... in truth, the third person shot Jacques. After that, the true culprit turned the... Thank you for the summary, Your Honor. However, we should revisit the case now that we've gained new information about the... The testimony, however, a pile of clothing was found at the scene. The guards once believed they were used by Jacques, but now, since it was raining that day, the culprit was confident that they could use the rain to wash away all traces of their... This assassin first shot Jacques, then turned to shoot Callus, only for Callus to wrestle the gun from him and kill... Realizing this, the true culprit caused the hired assassin to dissolve into water, leading everyone to believe Callus was responsible for Jacques' murder. This is the true...
So that's what happened. Wait, you're telling me something as dangerous as water from the primordial sea has been...
What a great theory. It also explains Callus's and Jacques' respective motive.
Mr. Marcel, you are the one being charged with the crime. You should provide a rebuttal if you wish to prove your innocence.
But I think I agree with everything Navia just said. In fact...
Then, may I ask some questions? 1. Do you have the evidence to back up...
I'm a...
Boo! If you don't have it...
I may not have the evidence with me, but I know where I could go to collect it. If we look up the deserted clothes against a record of people who went missing around the same time, we should be able to find a match. Considering the serial disappearances case, the guards probably kept careful records of all missing persons from around that time, regardless of age or gender.
That makes sense to me. Monsieur Neuvillette, I would consider this to be a reasonable
Why do I feel like Farina's...
Maybe she's scared of embarrassing herself?
Alternatively, she's become more diligent after...
My second question has to do with the ensuing duel. If the truth is indeed as you then why didn't Mr. Callus explain himself in court? If he had testified that a person had been dissolved, he could have at least mounted a defense.
I've thought about this too, and the answer is actually pretty simple. He felt there were things that were more important to him. The dissolving power of water from the primordial sea is an important secret for the true culprit of the serial disappearances case. My father could have exposed it for all to see, but he chose. At that time, Spina di Rosula was in dire straits, and his reputation had already been shattered. He had no guarantee that going forward with the truth would allow the culprit. What was certain, however, was that it would paint a gigantic target.
Boss once told me that Demoiselle had already been selected as the next target of the serial disappearances case.
What?
If the secret had gotten out, the culprit would have fought an all-out war with Espina right there and then. I wouldn't have been the only one in danger. All of us would have stood to lose our lives. Of course, the guards might eventually figure out the truth of the matter and determine that we were in the right. But what good would that do? How can a hollow verdict protect any? Had this opera house ever given my father any kind of confidence in its brand of justice, Spina di Rosula would have had no reason to exist. But by staying silent, we retained the ability to deter our opponents and continue. I was able to become Spina di Rosula's president, which made me harder to target, as well as giving me more time to grow and learn. And once I have figured out the truth and stepped up to the challenge, I will do what this opera house cannot and restore my father's.
So, you mean to say, you're—
That's right.
Do you have an—
Of course. All you need is— I don't need your apology, your guilt, or your support from the shadows. You don't have to do anything for my sake. But since he entrusted his will to you, Clarand, you should—
So, during the duel, did you believe that Callus was intending—
Yes, I did. As a champion duelist, I've fought many battles and taken a countless number of dishonored lives. In my line of work, I've seen all kinds of people give their all for the faintest hope to continue living. Some were determined, others passionate. Just one look and I can tell if a duelist is hoping to live or if they're looking to die. I hereby swear on my name and honor as a champion duelist that Mr. Callus never intended to leave the ring alive.
Since that's your testimony, I have no more questions.
I concur. However, Miss Navia, you still have not explained the link between your father's case and the serial disappearances case.
Right? What she said was fascinating.
Wait, weren't they just talking about the serial?
Of course, Your Honor. The two cases are in my father's case, the culprit intended to kill both Jacques and Callus. As a result, they planned to act after hearing two. And at the end of Linny's trial, the culprit also only dissolved the victim in front of everyone because they realized they were at risk of being identified. The culprit could only time their actions so precisely if they— Coincidentally, Marcel attended both the banquet.
So that's why you suspected me. Even after hearing your reasoning, I still can't— I'm used to it, though. You've always been an impulsive and sentimental child, Navia.
No need to appeal to pathos.
I won't try to refute your points one by one, but even if everything you just said was true, can you prove that— On top of that, does a person have to be physically present to control the timing? Can't some—
Know what she can say to that.
I know that even with that, you might still think you can reduce the list of suspects with some further investigations. Alas, who won't feel at least a little hurt by an accusation of— But if I were to dismiss this completely, you'd also think I'm not being considerate of your feelings. Ah well, do you know what the biggest flaw in your—
I suppose you're gonna tell me anyways.
It's timing. I'm a businessman by trade. From that standpoint, there's no reason for me to kidnap young women. It's a high-risk action with nothing to gain. In addition, I left my home in Snezhnaya when I was young to come to Poisson and work in some trade. My business only thrived when I received Callus's patronage. But the disappearances began before I ever stepped—
I do apologize, demoiselle. This was—
No, it's not your fault. I'm sure.
Is there anything else you'd like to say? Would you like to check the date of my first business license against the first known case of the serial You can also take a look at my border entry records, or ask my friends. Could those records and testimonies do something to appease the
Seems like she got the wrong guy. At this rate, Navia will be convicted for falsely accusing.
I think you've done a superb job of dissecting your father, but aren't you going against all of his wishes? He wished for you to become more rational, once you've learned to be more considerate of others' feelings, and to stop rushing headlong into things. You'd have met—
This isn't just about me. The biggest difference between me and the rest of the victims is that I still have the ability to search for the truth. While the people whose families were destroyed by synth abuse, the people who lost their loved ones to the serial disappearances, and the people who many people's images are flashing before my eyes. And whose image do you see? Is it a man named Vacher?
Huh.
Oh, so you do know that name.
I'm merely surprised you'd suddenly say the name of someone I've—
I was waiting for you to say that.
Take it easy. Game's up. Fun,
Whoa! The floor is going up! Is it because of this mechanism in the middle? That guy really prepared a lot of stuff for this place. Go! Paimon thinks we need to go up, but Paimon doesn't see a way. Let's take a look around. Maybe we'll find a hidden mechanism that'll show us the way up. The water level is rising. Now we can swim to the top. But this is still a ways away from where we need to go.
One with nature.
Cross over!
Gotcha. Fallen leaves, adorn my night.
Now the path is clear! Let's go!
Into the wind.
Things are about to get dicey.
After all, though, as expected, the mastermind isn't here. That's right. Then let's... What's all this? Pink accessories, a hair tie, a necklace, even a makeup box. Oh, Paimon sees it too, but... Huh? You mean the girls from... And then... They were... And all the boxes of things. These names... Whoa! There's so much synth here! And so many bottles of ingredients that probably just contain the water... Mixing in prop... Whoa! There's even fruit-flavored synth? Yep! Oh, look! This is where they make all this. If you dilute it with Paimon, we'll take notes. Let's see what's written. Callus. Navia's father. Oh, this seems to be an investigation report. This should prove the existence of the third person, right? We still have the old dogs. He can act when I concur. Let's sense. Oh, seems like we've got a bunch of correspondence between the higher-ups. What's this over here? Looks like some experiment. The experiment was a failure. No individual managed to resurface from the water from the primordial sea. Female specimen. Sorry, traveler. Paimon will try her best. How can someone write something that terrible and you read the rest? Paimon's too scared to keep going. So that's why he did. Wait, did he really think he'd be able to find a way just by dissolving people over and over? That's just insane! Huh? Isn't that the name you heard by the fountain? Paimon thought he was an eyewitness in the serial disappearances case. Ah, you mean Vache is the one who did all of these... experiments? So that's it? No, that's not it either! If that's the case, why would he want people to... In any case... We've looked at almost everything... Yeah! We haven't found anything that... No wonder even Neuvillette wasn't able to find anything. Whoever it is probably destroyed everything that way. Even if we bring all this back to the opera... Sure thing. You take that side. Nothing at all. And Paimon can't even find snacks either. Whoa, really? Let Paimon see. Vinier. Isn't that Vache's lover? Then... Aw. It's just a normal diet. So many! A whole page. The final name, Marcel. Wait, but Marcel's pretty...
And whose image do you see, Marcel? Is it a man? Oh. I was waiting.
Navia! We're back!
As expected of my...
Just how often do you intend to flout the rules of...
It's all right, Monsieur Neuvillette. Given their confidence... But the truth of it, Marcel, is that you've always been Vache.
Huh?
We've investigated your lair, and we already know after your lover, Vinier, was dissolved, you kept abducting young women to experiment. You even created Marcel as a new identity, and destroyed all...
So that's it. Even the villain. And with that,
This information well, Marcel... You fixated your gaze on the lover that passed away, so you never know...
You also never understood Boss's real...
Or our determination to see things through.
You're determined.
Mr. Marcel, please speak up now if you would like to defend yourself.
Do you think Do you really think... Pay attention to you? What for? Have you ever paid attention to me? Ever empathized? No one helped me. No one even believed me. All those decades ago, they said there's no way a human being can turn into water. So I must have gone mad from grief. Well, now you know, don't you? Ha! Well, you only have yourselves to blame. You set up this ornate opera house in pursuit of your so-called justice. Vignier is dead. We promised each other that we would always be together. Wherever she go, but I'm not from this blasted place. So I can't.
Hey, is that water from the primordial sea that he's drinking?
I can't dissolve. Do you all see? I can't go. I can't follow. So if I did all of that, and in the end, I spent my entire life living on pins and needles, only to get stabbed by his idiot dog.
The suspect is exhibiting signs of mental distress. Go.
Don't touch me! Don't anybody come near me! Vignier, please, Vignier.
At this point, the verdict of this trial is clear. With Mr. Marcel's conviction...
Fine by me. I was in a bad mood, but after a show like that...
Traveler, please submit all the evidence. The man now known as Marcel was originally named Vacher and worked as an adventurer with his partner and lover, Vignier. During an underwater expedition, Vignier accidentally came into contact with water from the primordial sea and was dissolved in front of Vacher as a result. Vacher learned of the primordial water's existence through the work of others and began to kidnap young women for research, with the goal of discovering a method to restore it. To cover his tracks, he invented the new alias of Marcel and began to operate a business. During the course of his research, Vacher discovered that a diluted concoction of water from the primordial sea can induce feelings of euphoria. However, as he accumulated wealth to fund his continued research and expanded the scope, after exchanging blows with Spina di Rosula for many years, Vacher decided to although the assassination did not go as Vacher expected, he was able to turn Callus into the murder suspect by dissolving the assassin. And just recently, Vacher attempted to frame Linny as the culprit of the serial disappearances case, using a similar method. However, his attempt to frame Linny failed, and the power of water from the primordial sea became public knowledge. This case also exposed enough of Vacher's machinations that he was Thus concludes the enigmatic history of the serial... The oratrice will now... According to the judgment of the oratrice mécanique done guilty.
Guards! Take the...
Good. It's...
With that, the serial
We really just witnessed history. Who would have thought the true culprit would be such a polite and...
Yippee! He's hurt so many innocent people and... Huh? Are you okay?
Demoiselle, you were absolutely...
The day our late boss had always hoped for is final.
Yeah. It's finally over. See, Papa?
Well now, hasn't this been a most delicious piece of drama? The villain has been caught, justice has been served, past wrongs have been righted, and it's a big ol' happy ending. Since it's been such a great show, I'll just let the false accusations against me slide. Either way, I've still got...
Please wait just one moment, Mr. Tartaglia.
What now? None of this has any...
According to court protocol, since this trial was initiated due to a charge against you, a verdict must also be made regarding...
Oh, come on. Is this really necessary? Haven't you already caught the real criminal?
Please respect the laws of Fontaine.
All right, but this sure is a lot of hassle.
Through evidence presented in the public, the guilty party has been identified, and thus it is lot. We now turn to the oratrice mécanique d'analyse. According to the judgment of the oratrice mécanique d'un guilty.
What?
Hey! That's not funny! Didn't you just say I'm supposed to be... What's with this verdict? Is your justice machine malfunction?
Huh? This has never happened before. The oratrice...
I mean, have you ever heard of an innocent Fatui Harbinger? Do you think the Oratrice might have just convicted him on general principle?
But weren't the charges about the serial disappearances case? No matter what else he's guilty of, it shouldn't affect the verdict in this case.
The judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinal is, by law, the final verdict of the guards. Please take the suspect.
So this is how justice is done in Fontaine. What a joke. You've got your rules. Well, I've got mine too!
I am sorry. If you have been wronged, we will find the truth. But the rules of the court must be upheld.
Hey, Monsieur Novelette, what's going on?
Apologies. This is also the first time I've encountered such a situation. However, according to the rules established at the conception of Fontaine's court system, the Oratrice... All I do is follow court procedure. As for why the Oratrice arrived at the conclusion it did, you should probably ask someone more knowledgeable than me.
Why are you... I don't know what happened.
What does Lady Farina mean by that?
She says she has no idea either, but that's impossible.
Yeah, so are the verdicts reliable or not? Can results like this really be called justice?
My dearest citizens, did you really think we'd allow an incorrect verdict to be handed out in this court? Did you really believe that the judgment could be mistaken? Or, don't tell me, you thought even I had been blindsided by the Oratrice.
But the way she looked just now, it was pretty obvious.
However, given the state of things, I shall give you an explanation. Everything that just took place, including my supposed shock and bafflement, was a part of an elaborate performance, with every action meant to stir up drama and, of course, for every performance there is a script. Everything has unfolded exactly as I expected from the very beginning. As the embodiment of the very concept of justice. If you thought Child had nothing to do with the serial disappearances case, it is only because you've been everything he's done, not to mention the danger he poses, are beyond ordinary all shall be revealed in time. You will come to understand my noble intentions, as well as the absolute correctness of the Oratrice's verdict. Now, having said that, although I hate to leave things hanging in suspense, it is now time for this—
So she chose to make her escape after all, did she?
So you're saying we shouldn't put much stock into what she...
She probably just put on that performance to save face. As for the truth, it's unlikely that she actually has any idea. However, please be assured that I will continue to investigate this case in a personal capacity. Just as I promised, if the judgment has been incorrect, we will do our utmost to clear his name.
All right. Even though we feel... After all, he's done... Oh, Monsieur Neuvillette! That power...
I'm the Chief Justice of Fontaine, of course. If officers of the law lack the strength and capability to enforce it,
Take it easy.
Hey, what are you doing? Quick, stop him!
Traveler! Hey! Traveler!
Marcel! What are you doing?
Stop resisting arrest!
No, wait! I just want to ask the Traveler something. I'm not looking to run away. Please, please, just let me ask this one small thing.
go on.
Thank you. Thank you. I was being led away when I finally realized something. Where did you first hear the name? I erased all records of that name.
Are you still trying to prove your innocence? Give it up. You've already been convicted.
Really? You did? You're sure? You met her? But how could that be? How did you manage to do it? The Fountain of Lucine? Then she's been so close to me all along. Please give me a chance to talk.
What? Give an inch and you want to take a mile? Do you think serial kill—
Paimon agrees. Why should we give him what he wants when he's only done a ton of—
This request, is it worth as much to you as your life?
Of course!
Humans. Will they betray the instinct to live just to satisfy Very well.
Your Honor.
I will go with him. You do—
Thank you. Is this the place? You said she's here, but what do I need to do to see her?
Yeah, and even Paimon could hear her after drinking that—
Vache!
Ah!
Yes, that's it! So—
Vinier, it's me!
Vache?
I'm here! I'm here! Where are you, Vinier? I'm
Hey, wait!
Vinier, is that you?
Vache? Why did you come? You look a lot—
It's been more than 20 years. I've suffered all this time. Only the thought of— I must be dreaming. Who would have thought I'd get the Vinier, you are my everything. I really don't know how I—
But Vache, if not for you, I would have finished my law degree and probably become a top-tier attorney one day. If not for you, I would have continued to pursue my love of the art. If not for you, I would at least have been able to take care of my mother. It's all because of yourself.
Wait, you are—
You're right. I am not Vinier. Every woman who died by your hand, as our bodies dissolved, our thoughts. I'm Cressy. I'm Lemony. I'm the only one I am not.
Why? But that—
She doesn't want to see you anymore. This is what you get for your selfishness. Your selfishness robbed us of our lives and our futures. But did you ever consider— You are a liar. The only thing you are not. From the moment your first victim died and her consciousness merged with Vinier's.
No!
You still don't understand. When I said don't look— But on top of that, she said that because she knew that if you did come here, we will show no—
Vache.
Vache? 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 Drown.
finally we have some time to do shopping. Gosh, it's really been a long time since we've been able to...
Well met, partner. I knew something...
Even this weather can't put a damper on the demoiselle.
It's a pleasure to see you both again.
Oh, hey, Navia! It's been a few...
Oh, now that I believe. I'm easy to work with and always bring home the bacon.
Sounds like you're really enjoying life these...
It's just been one thing after the other. I've been making non-stop trips between Poisson and the court since everyone from Spina di Rosula organized a memorial for my father. We never held it this time, though. Everyone in Poisson, and even many people from the court, all attended.
So his name's definitely...
It's been the dearest wish of demoiselle.
That blasted stubborn fool. I was right to put my faith in him. I'm so glad I didn't give up on the case all those years ago. Oh, by the way, well, maybe it'd be more accurate to...
Huh? So you know Charlotte?
Yeah, way back when I first became... I believe the story was called... To be fair, though, it was a really flattering feature. She was trying to lean on our...
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, I told her to make sure that when she writes about you guys entering the opera house with the critical evidence, that you both sound really cool.
Now that's another thing to...
Oh, and...
Oh, are you two...
While you were investigating Vacher's headquarters, Clorinde gave tests. It was thanks to her that we were able to turn the tide. I wanted to thank her. I mean, there's also no point in...
Oh, that's great. Paimon also thought Clorinde...
Anyway, now that the case has finally been solved, perhaps it will slowly begin to Oh, actually...
What is it?
I should pay a visit to... And on top of that...
Miss Navia.
Indeed.
We want to go too! We all...
Sure thing. I'd like you two to share the moment with me. After all...
And in that case, everyone, let's be off.
Yeah, you're right. Huh. This is where my father's grave...
Huh? There's... Isn't that Neuvillette? Why would the Chief Justice be here? Huh? Navia?
My apologies. I should have asked before coming to...
Don't say that.
Sorry about that.
Oh, I was trying to say there's no need... I wanted to show my father how much I've grown. But still, I doubt I've grown to the point that even the Chief Justice would feel compelled to apologize to me.
In that case, I will stop.
You really could use some pointers on understanding human emotions, Monsieur. In any case, why did you come to Poisson?
Well, ever since that day, I've been turning a question over and over in my head. Just what is justice anyway? There was once a time when I didn't want to believe that there could be anything more important to humans than life itself. Oh, rather than that, it's probably more truthful to say I didn't believe humans were capable of resisting the most basic instinct of living things. That they could rebel against their own nature, or consider certain things to be more important than their own. Which is also why I didn't stop your father from beginning that fateful... I believed that a truly innocent man would never throw away his life like that. That there was nothing, should have been nothing more important than one's own continued service. But Mr. Callis proved me utterly, and if not for his sacrifice, the serial disappearances case would have remained unsolved. Mr. Callis made the choice he did for his daughter, for his associates, and for many. And in the end, from a certain perspective, a justice that's high. So, you asked me why I came here. I just wanted to say my apologies to Mr. Callis in person. I should have... This regret has filled me with a sadness. That high and mighty chair in the opera Epiclese indeed insulates one from many important things. Spina di Rosula, thank you so much for your heart.
So, you're actually one of those types that's cold on the outside, but pretty
Sorry about that. Self-expression is not one of my...
Didn't I just...
So Navia and Neuvillette... Let's not disturb them for now. We can... Paimon Paimon's never paid respects at someone's grave before. Did Paimon do anything rude there? Huh? Oh no. Paimon hosts. Anyway, Neuvillette is still standing around there. It's not often that we can catch him alone like this, so why don't we...
Oh, it's you two. Did Miss Navia invite you to come pay your...
We ran into Navia on the streets today, so we just followed her.
I see. Then it...
Well, it's pretty hard to run into...
Please feel free. Though outsiders, you helped us solve one of the greatest mysteries in Fontaine, and it would be my... Your sibling, another blonde-haired traveler. I'm sorry, but I've never seen anyone who matches. If he ever stepped foot in Fontaine, I'm sure he followed our laws to the letter, and had no reason to appear. Is there anything...
So, at court, the bad guys referred to that special water...
Truthfully, that name is already quite accurate. I can only surmise that Vacher and his ilk only learned of its nature and existence after extensive research. There used to be a special sea on the surface of this planet. The nature of its seawater was rather different from that. Most of Tevat's life forms were first born in that special sea. You could say it nurtured much of the life on this planet.
Huh. So it really was where everything began. It makes sense to call it primordial then.
But today, the primordial sea no longer exists on the planet's surface. What Vacher discovered must have been some kind of special case, or a remnant from a truly ancient...
Huh. So that's how it is. Oh, you really know everything, Monsieur.
Indeed. Why would the primordial sea, which was known to engender and nurture life, suddenly reverse it? To be frank, that also doesn't match my understanding of this world and its laws. There must still be some unknown secrets around the people of this land. Is there anything else? My apologies. My investigation has... However, I still...
But you...
For many years, I have been quite aware that the Oratrice does not simply mechanically repeat the verdict that I give on each. As a divinely created mechanism, the people's unified faith in the concept of justice. Not only can it produce the incredible power of indemnitium, but it... Which is all to say, I have been prepared for a situation like...
Huh. So when Lenny told us that he...
I was not aware such a thing had occurred. Perhaps that could serve to prove my conjecture. I will add that to the... In any case, I am inclined to believe that the Oratrice does have a methodology all its own. We just do not have enough information. Based on Farina's reaction, I doubt even she had any idea what was going on. She managed to bluff. While we do intend to get to the... If we did...
If you ask Paimon...
Is there any... That the sea levels will rise and everyone will be dissolved in water, leaving Farina crying alone on her throne, but the sins of the people will be finally washed. Does that appropriately summarize the verse?
That's right! It was Lenny that told us back then.
Yes, up to the present, I think we reached a point where we have no choice but to confront this prophecy directly. Rumors have it that this prophecy is rooted in the last words the former Hydro Archon left to the world before she passed away.
A prophecy? Of the former Hydro Archon?
Two parts of the prophecy have already proven correct. The rising sea levels, and the ability of the people of Fontaine to be dissolved. We should be more vigilant. Speaking of the prophecy, Farina has also always taken it quite seriously. Indeed, she has been collecting information and intelligence from across... If the rumors were true, then perhaps this prophecy is the conundrum left to...
But with Farina being the way she
Is there anything else you'd like? Very well. It was my honor to provide you with what... It will soon be time for me to leave this blissful tranquility behind.
You really are super busy, Monsieur Neuvillette.
Crime and villainy do not have the day off, and so justice...
All right. Huh? Paimon just noticed that the rain has stopped.